Right, hello. I'll take the mask off in a minute so you can hear me better, and obviously lip read if you're deaf or whatever. Because I have been noticing now I've been back to work. Sometimes when you try and talk to people, these masks do actually muffle your voice a fair bit, so it can sometimes be quite easy to mishear what somebody said with similar sounding words. Because I think even if you're not trained to lip read, I imagine you do kind of slightly lip read anyway. Because I have noticed you definitely have to ask people to repeat themselves more often when everybody's wearing a mask. Even, when they don't muffle the voice that much. So, hello everybody. So, yeah, the good news is I'm back to work. And I'm actually really enjoying being at work. Might sound weird, but, it's one of those strange things where, obviously, when you've been stuck for so long with essentially not being able to do anything due to restrictions and everything, I'm looking forward to being back to work. Unfortunately, it looks like the UK is going to be reimposing a lot of lockdown stuff if you've been following the news. So, yeah. Because, selfish people who don't want to wear masks and things like that, it's everybody else's things. Don't you know how masks work, Trent Dabs? These masks are designed to stop you basically breathing out on other people. So, right, everybody. Yeah, if you've been looking at the stuff, Paul, or I'll get the BBC thing up. Australia has gone into more lockdowns now, and the UK is now suggesting they might have to do lockdowns for over 50s. So basically, yeah, new lockdown begins in hard-hit Australian state. I know that's not in the UK, but just sort of on about things globally. So Victoria has done like a curfew thing. It's Victoria faces new measures after virus cases spike, with a curfew being imposed in Melbourne. So basically what's going on there is after a certain time, I don't think you're allowed out and all businesses have to close. I don't know if it was worth hiding him for that. I'll unhide him. But yeah, don't just to warn people, don't kind of make false claims with Corona stuff, because that'll probably get you nuked by a mod. Well, I mean, there's a yes and no thing of that fox sickness. Apparently, even masks with exhale valves do lower the amount of germs coming out, but ideally, yeah, you don't want an exhale valve. So as I've shown with my masks, what I've been doing is essentially just putting surgical mask kind of material or tissue kind of paper material folded a few times over where the valves are. So when you breathe out, you're essentially breathing through a tissue kind of thing. Or you can just stick this on the front of a mask anyway. That would also work. So let's just test it with this one, just for a laugh. But yeah, the point is with these masks, for anybody who literally doesn't know, is the point of them is that basically you can't spread your germs quite as far, or it limits the amount getting through. The idea is that if everybody's wearing them, there's just less germs flying about everywhere. So yeah, let's just see if with this mask, I can set it up. Now, I don't think I've got anything playing audio still, but I keep thinking I'm hearing audio coming out of like a speaker or something. Maybe I'm just going crazy. So yeah, what you could always do is this is the voice diaphragm. Obviously, no air comes out with that. The air comes out with here, the exhale valve. So yeah, I imagine you probably hook around the back of the filters, the mask, which is easier said than done, but there we go. But you'd have to adjust it to get it right. But yeah, you would probably be in theory able to sort of do that. So yeah, you've got the mask like that over the valve. Not the most practical thing, but yeah. Cheers, Gash Goblin. Thank what's his name, Tavarish Artyom, for sending me the snap caps for that. Because you pretty much can't get snap caps in the UK, even though they're legal here. It's one of those things that just sadly there seems to be no market for selling them. Like maybe a gun store might sell them. You can get in rounds, but snap caps obviously are less bad for cycling through a gun, but yeah, it is worth wearing a helmet though when cycling that Ruben, because it does eject the shells bloody hard. Right, secure my snap caps are basically inert cartridges, but they have either like a spring type mechanism or like a soft gel type thing where the primer cap would be. You know, like what's the proper word for it? When normally have a firing pin, is it a striker? You know, like the bit that actually has the sort of reaction, that sort of bit. The point of a snap cap basically is that it's designed to be a soft sort of thing, so either like a spring that the thing goes into, or cool, you know what I mean? Yeah, but the point is basically if you're dry firing it, it's designed not to wear the parts down. Whereas if you're dry firing normally, or dry firing with inert rounds, what can sometimes happen obviously is the firing pin hitting nothing, or the firing pin, hitting like literally just a bit of metal can apparently wear them down faster. So it's just basically if you want to dry fire the gun more often without wearing, bits of the bolt mechanism down, it's a better way of doing it. But as said, it's also good because I couldn't get any inert Ruben ammo either in Britain at the moment, because everybody had bought all the inert ammo when they'd been, the Rubens had been selling quite well. All right, that's nicest of Van. Oh, Fox Sickness deleted a message. I thought it was a nice message. No, the one Dosker I used in that video isn't deactivated. The Schmidt Rubin rifle I have is a live rifle. It's legal for me to have it because under British gun laws, now bear with me, you have Section 1 and Section 2 firearms primarily for rifles and shotguns, but we also have a thing called antique or obsolete firearms. So weirdly, the Schmidt Rubin, even though things like the Lee Enfield and all those are classed as Section 1 rifles, the Schmidt Rubin is classed as an obsolete one. So they're quite popular to be sold to basically people who want to own a gun without a license. Although the thing you have to bear in mind is you can't go and shoot it. Like you could at a range or something like that. But you literally can't go and get the Ruben, go put ammo in it and then legally just start shooting it, because. But yeah, that's the weird thing, secure mindset. Like with all laws and grey areas, the UK has a weird one where there's quite a few different types of firearms, although the problem is a lot of them are very expensive to buy, that fall into this category of it's not classed as a gun for some strange reason under our law. So yeah, the Ruben is in the UK at least, and I know we're going completely off the topic of Corona here. The really weird thing is that the Ruben is probably the cheapest kind of best of the old inert things, because a lot of the old obsolete calibers and all that are like weird pinfire type things, and everything like that. And weirdly, Schmidt Rubin rifles for something made in the 1890s ends up being cheaper and often in better condition than a lot of the old guns are that become Section 1s and then cost a load of money and you need a license, or deactivated, and then they still cost more. So basically, weirdly, in the UK, if you wanted to buy a working Schmidt Rubin rifle from 1890, that would cost you less than any of the Lee Enfields deactivated now. That's interesting, Ash. What you can do as well is just get like the 3M style pads and just put them inside a regular mask if you wanted to make a mask like this more protective. Do I have any handy? Because obviously if I've not got one handy, I can't really demonstrate it. But I think you'll probably know what I mean. Like, those pink disc type things? You could just literally put one of those in here, one of the smaller kind of filter pads for a filter, and then put that on, and you'd actually have to a degree some filtration going on there. Obviously, as I said, if you want a mask for proper protection, I would just recommend going with something proper and then just putting, you know, really good quality filters on it. But right, Radioactive Cow, see, all I can do is look at what's on the news and speculate based on the cases. But if you've been listening to what they've been saying now, it does sound like we're going to get a lot more restrictions, because lots of countries now are reimposing lockdowns around Europe and everywhere else. Because unfortunately, you know, cases are going up. Because what's basically happened in a lot of places, they've come out of their lockdowns or eased the lockdowns off. Now about a month or a couple of months has passed since then, and all of a sudden the cases are shooting up again. Because, you know, the R0 will start going up once you, you know, have more measures where people can just mix around with each other. Also, and as Altric says, lots of, you know, normies can't follow the rules. So, again, people refuse to wear a mask, you know, for no good reason. Like, I know there are people with legit reasons for not wearing a mask, but I mean, the people who just don't want to wear one, they're like, I have a health condition that means I don't have to wear a mask. But, you know, those sort of people. And you also have, you know, just people literally doing everything they've been told not to do, you know, having massive parties and whatever else because I'm not going to get the virus. So, yeah, it is pretty dreadful to think if this is, which will still be going on when we have the flu season, I think it's going to be, you know, getting Spanish flu levels are bad. I don't know if anybody's compared the numbers of corona deaths so far in the first wave to the Spanish flu's first wave. Because I know, obviously, Spanish flu killed way more people in total than corona's killed so far, because Spanish flu is up to like 50 million people. But what I'm more sort of interested in is sort of timeline-wise, how is corona comparing to Spanish flu? And obviously, treatment is way better today than it was in 1918, but Yorkshire Tom says, I'm currently in rural Wales visiting family and nobody is wearing masks. The local logic is none of them travel, so there's no reason. I mean, here's the problem. It's not restricted to any one area, is it? And because some people can carry it without knowing, and I struggle to believe any of the people there, you know, don't ever travel from the area, either on work or whatever else, you know. All right, Marcus? Oh, somebody I work with, Altrix, was doing that the other day. I think they realised they shouldn't have been doing it pretty quickly. But yeah, somebody I was working with was doing that. But thankfully now they are wearing their mask properly. I assume they had a telling off. What did Wolfie say that got him purged? I'd have timed him out for that rather than purging him. So I'll unhide him. But yeah, you see, this is why a lot of people complain about getting banned, is they make sort of jokes out of context on corona stuff. Oh, Marcus, though, I had a conversation like that. I'm not trying to boast about it, but Marcus, right, earlier, one of my co-workers was moaning that he had to be working again, and I was like, literally, there's so many people out of work now. You should be thankful you've got a job, you know. What's Roberto on about? I'm very confused. I didn't see what his previous thing was replying to. Right, for the people who've not been looking, if you look on the news, they're on about imposing new measures. Bits that were meant to be reopening have been paused now. Other countries are having extra lockdowns brought in. So yes, I would say we are probably going to have a second national lockdown at some point. But if you're on about the Schmidt-Rubin, the firing pin is certainly not removed, because I disassembled it all and cleaned it, and the firing pin is in there. And you can pretty easily test if the firing pin's in there. If you put an inert cartridge in, you know, put a little bit of paper on the back, pull the trigger after obviously cocking the bolt, and see if it's punched a hole in it. Thank you very much, Apache Heli. I just do a cleaning thing. I don't want to go into it too much because I've had lots of weird people online trying to basically, with doxing and stuff, you know, trying to work out where I work to harass an employer, you know. But luckily, if you do a cleaning type job, your job is kind of more necessary of all the corona stuff. But again, I'm still thinking it might not last all that long at the moment, just because the economy is going to be so fucked. I reckon a lot of places that are surviving at the moment are going to collapse later on. Right. I've got a few different masks I wear. Well, I've got shitloads of masks, haven't I? But for the ones I wear in public, my current favourite one is this one, which Hype sent me, which is the Strong something or other 50, isn't it? But the other ones I wear is the Alpha Mesh, because that's lightweight. I've got a few choices. It really basically depends on the context, how long I think I'm going to be out somewhere. I've got full face masks I wear as well sometimes, but for me, it's often how long am I going to be out? How much close contact am I going to be in with people? So I wear more protective kind of masks if I think I'm going to be around people for longer, or crammed in with more people. So in the supermarket, I'd much rather wear a mask like this than the Alpha Mesh. But the Alpha Mesh is fine. Let's say if I go to the pharmacy, I'm literally going in, picking up a prescription and leaving. It's not just the government fucking up Sing, unfortunately, as much as they have fucked up a lot. It's also because a lot of people, who they sort of trusted to follow the rules have decided not to follow any of the rules. And that's a problem a lot of other countries have had as well, that weren't really strict to begin with, and now having to impose stricter lockdown type stuff. Just simply because, people, unfortunately, when left to their own devices, sort of take on this attitude of, oh, I'm so important, I'll do what I want. So yeah, it was really depressing, because on LBC, yeah, Covidiots, exactly, saying on LBC today, lots and lots of boomer Covidiots have been phoning in LBC to basically say, how dare I be asked to shield or do anything like that? I want to go out and do what I want. And then the host was saying to them, but you do know if everybody has that attitude, the virus is going to be around a lot longer and a lot more people die. Yeah, but whatever, I can go out. Yeah, they've been all right. Landfair or Infair, whatever your name is, sorry. It depends which one it was, Boba. If it's the one that was on 1080 magazine, of course I did, because I linked it on my profile. All right, Hype. Yeah. Now that's the thing, Jesus, that we've been saying. The problem is a lot of Western governments obviously tried to say to start with, like, we're going to put trust in people. We don't want to come across as being seen as like tyrannical or whatever. So we're only going to have to implement measures if lots of people can't follow them. And then some people go, well, that means I don't have to follow them, does it? My rights, yeah, that shit. So yeah, as we've been saying. Yeah, somebody like that person saying it's made up or not real threat, they can just stay blocked. What? Sorry, I must have missed what you said previously, Eric. Are you on about a type of filter? You'd have to what, on this stream, Electric Messiah? I've not seen your name pop up at all. No, Bombshelly, because they're literally disagent sort of shills, or they're people who literally waste your time going around in circles. Let me have a look, Altrix. Just a second. As I said, I don't like I'm on the wrong server at the moment, so I can't see it. Yeah, I know our tricks, but saying the same thing over and over again isn't going to change my opinion on it. And as I've said before, the problem is time zones. Altrix is just saying there's too many stream mods on at the moment, and yes, there is. But the issue is sometimes there's not any stream mods on because it just depends on time zones. I don't think no digital X means you can just refuse people treatment because it's a spreadable disease. It's not one of those things where they've just doomed themselves, unfortunately. But yeah, the thing I was saying, like about where people were saying, should I debate people who don't think the virus is real? It's like whenever I've tried to do that, they just literally use circular arguments, and it's not really worth your wasting your time on them. Because again, we had like there was another stream where somebody was doing that, and then they were basically saying about vaccines causing autism or whatever. And then whenever I asked them to prove any evidence of that, because of course they couldn't, they were basically saying go on dodgy websites and read up, something that isn't a peer-reviewed thing. So no. Yeah, it's on standby, GZ Deuce. Like all the makeshift hospitals are on standby. But yeah, if we get a big second wave, they'll probably be needed. Well, the newest one is this one, but as said, Keaton, I'm not going to randomly just keep buying lots and lots of Geiger counters. But no, unfortunately, Gash Goblin, there's not. This is the issue, that unless they do a test, the proper coronavirus test, which they don't have enough of over here, there's no easy way to tell. I have no idea what you're on about, Apache. No, it's meant to be loud, Keaton. It actually has a warning on it saying it can cause ear damage. The point is, if you're being irradiated. Again, all the stuff with vaccinations, basically, if you look into it, there's either been vaccines that have apparently been around but don't work or didn't work as well as they were meant to work, or, they're working quite well on tests, but they still haven't been, gone through all the clinical trials. Because apparently China has a vaccine, the UK has a vaccine, several countries have a vaccine, but the problem is they're not, properly tested and everything yet, so they can't tell how safe they are. Or yeah, the problem is, like we were saying with the mods, is just I think when quite a few mods react to people at once, and it means that people are getting timed out or hidden, unhidden, and all that. But as I said, the problem is I can still do streams sometimes and only have like one mod on if there is a mod on. Again, the problem is if everybody decides on the weekend they want to watch a stream, you do get a lot of mods on. Yeah, and it's also going to be how effective they are hype, isn't it, as well? Because I think some of the issue is going to be how long will they stay in your system or essentially give you immunity. Okay, Mike. You could ask Hype, who's in the chat, Electric Messiah. He might be a good person to ask. But I generally think there's like forums for night vision stuff and catalogs for like websites like that. The problem, as we've already said, if there's a lot of people trying to chat over each other at once and they're not atting people properly, it's very hard to tell who you're talking to or whatever else. That is good hype. Yeah, I'm hopeful with all these vaccines. It's just, the sooner they can get them out and they're safe and everything, the better. Because, again, it still worries me the amount of people that don't seem to realize the economic damage this is going to cause the longer it drags on. Regardless of how deadly the virus is. There's so many people going like, why can't we just go back to normal? It's like, wow, it's quite obvious why we can't go back to normal at the moment. Well, the thing is, Oliver, I think it's more of one of those kind of shielding things, isn't it? Where it's kind of go out at your own risk of being infected. But again, they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't, aren't they? Literally everything, because whatever the government does, people will criticize them for either not going far enough or being too draconian with whatever they do. Right, see you, Oscar, if you're off. Well, as I've said before, post Tyrone, I just put a thing in front of the valve, and again, I'm sure you can get FFP3 masks, can't you, that don't have valves on, so just get something like that. Or just, if you've got one disposable mask you want to use as a valve, maybe just put glue on the valve. There's a proper Sage thing on that, isn't there, Crazy Egg, or one knows, where they're thinking they're going to have to use troops with the police because of how underfunded the police are in a massive riot situation. Yeah, well, I mean, that would certainly make 2021 a better year, wouldn't it? If we have a vaccine by 2021, because 2020 is a nightmare year so far. As I've already said, Electric Messiah, I've already sent that away because, as said, it just took up too much space. But I would kind of rather a lot of people keep this on topic because there's lots of people who are already asking me things that have nothing to do with the corona stuff we were discussing. Well, that's a good thing, Thomas. They should use masks on public transport. That's a thing in the UK now. But again, the UK has been very strange with masks, where they've been like very slowly implementing masks in more and more settings, rather than just saying from this day, if you're outside, you have to wear a mask. Which that would be the easy way of doing it. But the weird thing the UK has been doing was originally it was only masks for public transport. Then it was masks for shops, wasn't it? And now it's masks for cinemas. Right, I'm glad you enjoyed the videos, Apache64. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think, in all honesty, they should just be able to. I know, again, it's not safe for like the shop workers or the drivers, is it? But I think in theory they would just have to literally do a thing of you will not get served if you wear an improper mask or don't wear a mask. If they keep doing it, Marcus, yes. I don't want to have people timed out really if they just ask one off-topic question, but if they keep spamming the questions, even after I've answered them, or it keeps being on topic. Amazing hype, yeah, amazing. Yeah, the interesting thing at Mr. Misha is because so many currencies are fucking up, because, the entire world is being affected by this, you're not really seeing any one economy crash drastically or currency crash compared to others. So they're probably all getting worse and worse. It's just they're all comparatively dropping. It's not like, One's doing way worse than others. I don't know why Oliver was timed out then. Let me look them up, COVID. If you mean the ones that are like the sort of 3M style FFP3 masks, they look all right. Yeah, I've seen No Blade of Grass. That's like a weird kind of Mad Max hybrid of people going around Scotland, isn't it? Yeah, the thing COVID reminds me of more, Peter or Pieter, is have you seen the intro to the old BBC series Survivors? Not the PC remake they did, but you know, where there's literally a Chinese guy in a lab who drops a vial and then everybody's dying from the new, basically, super flu. I'm sure like every single here's a typical COVID idiot in the thing. For the people who didn't see, he was telling you to look up some weird thing because you're being lied to, and the lockdown is killing people, not the virus itself. Big brain, that person. Yeah, it's a stupid economy, really, to buy proper FFP3 style masks rather than, like, you know, half face respirators with, you know, because in a lot of places it's getting to the stage now where, I know Hope sent me this one for free, but let's just say you're looking at like these sort of masks that are typically like £20 to £40 in the UK, like with a set of filters. Lots of the sites selling the disposable masks are charging like £10 per disposable mask. It's meant to be worn for like one day and then thrown away. So, you know, it's a real false economy if you're constantly like buying those masks. What we might have to do with stream mods, though, if there is too many on at any time, is have a thing where only certain mods on the stream are allowed to like time people out or whatever, unless it's people obviously being racist or whatever like that. Oh, so Peter is okay, but yeah. Why don't you ask him, Electrical Messiah? You know, on eBay you can ask sellers a question, but again, you're asking off-topic questions, aren't you? Which we asked you not to do. But I'm pretty certain if you go on eBay, they'll either be listed at different prices depending on when the expiry date is, or, you know, you can send a thing. But again, FP5 filters are overkill for Corona because you only need a P3 filter. And you can literally still buy new 40mm P3 filters for like £10, I think, at most, and they used to be like a fiver each. As I've said before, if you just want to get a P3 filter, get like the Scott Pro Mask filters, whatever they're called. I'm glad you find the videos useful, Crazy. Well, I've been at work, Snorky, so I'm glad to be back working again, but, you know, it's still a very weird scenario to be in, but I am glad to at least have a job, you know, because I do know a lot of people that have lost their jobs already, and sadly, I think a lot more jobs are going to be lost. But yeah, for the people who didn't know, the UK did the stupid thing like the US to begin with, where we told people masks didn't work because they didn't have enough masks for doctors. Yeah, but I don't know for how long 4G's Deuce, in all honesty, just simply because the way things are going, I think a lot of companies that have survived for the current time aren't going to carry on surviving. Yeah, they're very good, they're hype. They're letting me, what they're letting me do is if I want to wear that mask, I can wear it. They're letting me wear any of my masks if I want to. But the section I work in, because I'm normally working on my own, when I'm working on my own, I don't need to wear a mask because obviously it's just me. But if somebody else comes into the room or I need to leave the room, then I put the mask on. Obviously I have to follow sanitizing surfaces and everything. So work has provided me with a very basic mask, but yeah, I'm allowed to use that mask if I want to. So basically what I do is I take this, what I've been doing is I've been taking this in a satchel so I can keep it on me at work. And then if I'm just sort of very briefly going past people, I just use a very basic face covering mask they've provided because it's more uniform. But otherwise. Oh, Tony, that's the thing, isn't it? Well, I think some of them are probably literally bots or disinformation shields that are probably being paid by some weird group to do it. Because apparently there is like weird stuff like that going on. And don't forget, there's also like religious crazies of extremists and certain things, a bit like the anti-vaxxers that literally, they're kind of like the people that have to seek out people with different opinions to them to yell at them because, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're going to be right there, Mr. Misha. Unfortunately, that's one of the things, you want to say to people. I really hope you're not right on that. But sadly, I totally agree. I think if we get a proper second wave of this in the winter, combined with seasonal flu, I do not think it's going to be pretty. Oh, that's good, MG. But yeah, as I was saying, hype. My company's actually very good with it. Like they've got lots of plastic things put up for people working at shopping tills and things like that. So they're protected. Every member of staff is provided with both a mask and a face shield if they want one. You have to be wearing a mask or a face shield, but you can wear both if you wanted to. There's different protective options to suit different people. So if somebody said, "Oh, I find masks too claustrophobic," they can have the transparent face shield type thing. But if you wanted to wear your own custom mask in as long as it meets minimum requirements, then they've been letting people do that. So it's quite good because, again, I've heard some nightmare stories from people on here where they literally try and wear an FFP3 mask or something to work and they're told by their boss, "Oh no, don't wear that, it will scare the customers." It's a strange thing, Digital X Mage. Don't viruses spread easier if it gets cold? As far as I'm aware, Patchy. I think most viruses spread easier in the cold than hot weather, or at least they don't die as quickly. Although, saying that, coronavirus seems to spread pretty much anywhere in the world at the moment, so I don't think it's too, dependent on temperature. But they've been finding in refrigerated places in the UK, like meat packing plants and things like that, it's been spreading easier. Because apparently in chilled environments, it just seems to spread easier. Well, I think everybody would agree with that, A-Truck Campbell, but sadly a lot of people don't. To them, a mask is scarier than a deadly virus. If you mean the exhale valve, you can literally, I've done a video on it, you can just put tissue over it with an elastic band, or you can put surgical mask over the exhale valve. There's a lot of ways of doing it. I'd say just find out what works best for the design mask you've got and just stick with that. I think also with a lot of things, again, Keaton is asking off-topic questions. Yes, I do know that there's a really cool fungus that's growing in Chernobyl that they think they can shield spacecraft with now to eat radiation. But again, that's not related to coronavirus, is it? I'm pretty sure the CFF3 filter, or whatever it's called, is a French NATO filter, yes. No, it's definitely not GOST. I don't know why people keep saying that. I might have to get one myself to check it, but why would France be making GOST filters when they're a NATO member? Like I know some nations like make industrial GOST filters to sell to, like, you know, certain markets that need GOST filters for industry masks. But I have no idea why the French would be doing that. Like, I understand why ex-Warsaw Pact countries do that, because they probably still have lots of old GOST respirators lying around, but what do you mean, Ronald? I'd say, in the sense, like I was saying earlier, apart from prices being inflated, economically, masks like this are reusable, and, you know, they don't cost all that much compared to what I've seen people charging for, like, disposable face masks at the moment. The thing is, like I think I've said before, if everybody was forced to wear a mask, and let's say, theoretical situation, the government puts a law in place where if you go outside, you have to wear a mask, and they provide everybody with this mask. And this mask basically doesn't have a valve design, but, you know, it seals to your face, and it has like an FFP3 filter on it, or whatever, P3 filter. And the air, so when you breathe in, the air goes through, you know, in and out through a particulate filter. So let's say they provide everyone these masks, and you have to wear them when you go outside, or you get a very hefty fine or a prison sentence, whatever. So, you know, let's just say the majority of people wear these masks that filter the air going in and out. The R0 would massively drop, yes. Whether or not it would totally eliminate it, I don't know. But, you know, combining that with good hand washing would help. But, you know, unfortunately, as we're seeing, is the government's been very lax on mask rules, and now, you know, there are people who just break the rules because you can't tell me what to do. Oh yeah, by the way, there are literally people phoning up LBC when I've been listening to it, you know, and not piss-takingly doing like the Chernobyl thing, but literally saying, well, I can't see the virus, so it doesn't exist, you know. You didn't see a virus because it's not there. But, you know, they are literally phoning up to say, well, personally, I've not seen coronavirus on the surface somewhere, so that means it doesn't exist. We're being lied to. Yeah, that's a very worrying thing, isn't it, Sing? That apparently there's lots of people with chronic fatigue, you know, like potentially brain damage problems, you know, lung scarring, so many different things they seem to be finding with it. Yeah, this is the thing, Hype. As much as I will criticize the CCP for a lot of things, you know, especially the whole Uyghur thing that we've talked about before, I really don't blame them now when I see some of the very heavy-handed videos of, you know, hazmat people dragging off people violating quarantine. Because, you know, what you learn when you have a country that doesn't want to seem, you know, to hurt people's civil liberties too much is some people will really take the piss and endanger people. Oh yes, yep. One of my viewers did, GZ Deuce, yes. Was it George? I'm trying to remember who it was, but yes, somebody who was, I think, in the National Guard, and he tested positive for COVID, said it was like a really, really, really bad flu, and I think it took him 2 to 4 weeks to fight off. I don't know how he is now, because I haven't heard from him in a while, but yeah, he said, I think, if I'm not misquoting him, I think basically what he said, it was like having a really, really, for him, a really, really, really bad flu. You know, and obviously flu can kill you. It does kill a lot of people every year. You know, and it was just took him completely out of action as like a healthy, middle-aged man, I guess, for like, several weeks. That's a shame, Oliver. But yeah, the thing is, different people get it in different severity, don't they? But a lot of people who have had it and recovered seem to just think it feels to them like a bad flu. But for other people, it can end them up on a ventilator or worse. It seems certain people react to it differently. Yeah, over here, Tony, the equivalent is Jeremy Kyle. But yeah, it's certainly that kind of people. That's horrible, Gordon. I'm very sorry to hear that. Yeah, my condolences. But yeah, it's strange, isn't it, though, how some people seem to... Well, you get some people who are even asymptomatic with it, don't you? Thank you, Zesty. Well, that's not completely true, is it, Electric Messiah? Because from what we understand, it was probably spreading before then. And again, we've had cases where they think they found it in other places. Again, the chances of you getting it outside of China at that point were very low, but I wouldn't say it was impossible because, again, supposedly the CCP knew about it in around November time, but then they just hushed it up. And again, I find it very hard to believe it was somewhere as big as China that, like, not a single corona case left China before, it was being officially documented. Yeah, well, there is the viral load thing, Peter, which is definitely a thing, which is obviously the more you're exposed to it, the more it, like, I guess, breeds faster in you, the more damage it causes. A bit like radiation damage. But I think some people just seem to be susceptible with things we don't really know why yet. Now, also don't forget, lots of people in the media, until we were starting to get lockdowns around March time, weren't taking it seriously either. It was like, oh, it's just a flu, stop talking about it. Just the flu was the thing, wasn't it? The media was doing for months. When we were talking about it around January, I think it was, when we started talking, at least on this channel, when I started talking to it, because I had people say, like, I'm in Asia, I'm worried about this. Can you do a video about basically a deadly flu pandemic type video? So then that's when I started doing corona videos and people started watching them. And obviously, because I just find it interesting because I'm into CBRN stuff. And, that was back before it affected everybody's lives like it has now. But, but back then the media was going, oh, it's just a flu. Well, the flu's dangerous in of itself. That's why we have flu jabs. Yeah, I really do agree with you, though, Hype, that people who are literally getting people killed with this do need to get quite a serious thing with it, I mean, again, I can't blame people if they're asymptomatic spreaders and they're, doing everything right in a sense, but, they unluckily spread it to people. But yeah, there are certainly people there are certainly people that are willingly doing really stupid stuff that I think should get quite harsh penalties for it. All right, Dusty. How was Las Vegas and like Arizona and everywhere doing, and Nevada and everywhere doing there? Because I've heard like about Florida getting it bad, but how are you doing in like the desert sort of states? Well, I've already explained, Zesty, that they definitely would do stuff if everybody wore them. And again, lots of people forget there's a latency effect with this, and you need test kits. Because what ended up happening in the UK, unfortunately, with some people, when we first went into lockdown, because obviously it sometimes takes like a week to 2 weeks for people to develop symptoms or, die or get over it or whatever. We had, what was it? We had, people basically saying when the lockdown started, well, lockdown isn't working because there's still lots of people dying, not understanding that, the numbers don't stop the instant you start lockdown. And then there was also the people who basically said as soon as lockdown ended, look, the numbers haven't jumped up straight away, so now we can do anything. Don't say anything GZ Deuce that comes off as like xenophobic or anything. But again, one of the reasons that there is problems in China is because of wet markets. And I'm sure a lot of my Chinese viewers would agree on that, it's a thing that shouldn't really exist anymore because you can use a supermarket. But in general, if you cram lots of animals in together somewhere, like lots of different breeds of animals in not very sanitary conditions, that is perfect for a virus to spread. Yeah, like I've said before, I will complain non-stop about the CCP, but I try to always make sure I'm like saying the CCP, not Chinese people, because unfortunately, and we're getting this now, of course, with like lots of other things. People will literally use stuff like this where they have a gripe with a government to basically just slander groups of people because Oh, so is it quite a serious lockdown they're implementing then, or like a lighter version of a serious lockdown? Well, depends how crowded the grocery store is. SBDT, person with those letters. For a very crowded place, this one or a full face mask. I definitely wear goggles with a mask like this. For if I'm just popping in somewhere to quickly buy something and leave, where I'm just going to be literally in and out, something like the Alpha Mesh would do absolutely fine. Well, Adam, there's a lot of similarities, I think, between the CCP and, for example, like the communists with Chernobyl, where you have kind of this bureaucratic system where nobody wants to get in trouble, so they don't report things properly and they cover stuff up. What did Real Disco say? Real Disco literally did not say anything offensive there, Fox Sickness. Yeah, the thing is, Dusty, I think what was I going to say? I think you need to be quite careful with enforcement because apparently we've been having issues, and I really don't want to sound like one of those sort of super SJW BLM kind of protesters. But apparently there are problems in parts of the UK where like cops are choosing more to enforce, like mask fines in black areas and white areas. And again, that's a fucked up thing to do. They should be evenly enforcing it. But again, I'm not going to go. I don't want to turn this into a racial thing. The stream's nearly over. But again, there's kind of a thing where I think you need to be serious about enforcing things, but you also have to be very careful about how you enforce things and not piss people off on purpose, or then. Oh, you should have hidden him permanently, Hype. But Nigel, and I don't think it was Nigel Farage, was saying it's the NWO is using Corona to like control us. It should be obvious to people that you really need to say joke if you're joking when you say something like that. Otherwise, you're just going to get literally banned for misinformation. Oh, that's good, Anna. Well, they protect you at least. Also, people don't start insulting people in the chat by atting them. You can politely disagree with them, but be careful, because again, mods might, get a bit banhammery if people start arguing with each other. See, that's a bit of a problem as well, isn't it, Simmonger? Because if you don't enforce any mask wearing at all, people just realise they can get away with not doing it. Well, that's because there's several mods on grain damage, but some of the people being banned are literally the people saying Corona is fake, it's used by X group to control you, and those people are definitely deserving of bans. I definitely think I've undone some bans on this stream where people have been banned for saying not too serious stuff, and sadly I can't undo timeouts. That's cool, Dusty. The SpaceX thing's meant to be coming back today, isn't it, or tomorrow? Or at least jettisoned off of the ISS, didn't it, today? But, at least the space stuff is kind of not depressing like everything else at the moment. It's nice, isn't it, when you have things like space where everybody cooperates with each other. Let's hope that doesn't start going the other way. But, unlike everything else where people just, your country bad. Your football team bad. Oh, that's cool. So it landed pretty quickly then, because was it today it jettisoned off? Do you think there'll be robot wars on Mars, though? If China's sending stuff and the Russians send stuff and America sends stuff, do you think the drones are going to be battling it out? It'll be like robot wars, but on the surface of Mars. Well, probably not in space, but it could spread on the ISS, I imagine. The really stupid thing I've heard, the crazy egg, is apparently some people saying they've been wearing full face respirators going into supermarkets and then having a shitty security guard go to them. You can't wear a mask in here like that. It needs to be a simple mask. Well, they could make it like a slightly Red Dwarf themed thing then, couldn't they, GZ Deuce? The military one, Zesty, is the Shum 41. Yes, I don't think it's news to many people, Gordana, that if you listen to Trump's speeches, he doesn't make a lot of sense. But here's the thing, there's lots of full masks that are good panoramic ones, but then it's oh, you're making other people uncomfortable because your mask is better than their mask. Yes, the Shum 41. When you say rent-a-cops, you mean security guards, electric messiah. There is a problem, like I was saying, in supermarkets with that, where if places have got, a guard and then they tell them to tell people at the door to put masks on, they then start getting funny with certain types of masks. Yeah, well, maybe they can make Skynet level AI that can make the robots on Mars battle, but then maybe the robots will team up and want to kill us because they will go, in different robot languages they speak that the puny humans kill each other over lots of silly reasons, so let's just kill the humans. Well, Arnold, I think it's more just a problem, isn't it, that if everybody's been told to wear a mask and then somebody comes in with what is obviously a gas mask, the person go no, that's not a good enough mask, come back with one of these. do you mean? Zesty, by that do you mean should you wear a half face mask or a full face mask? Up to you, but I'd make sure you have some sort of goggles if you wear a half face mask. Well, so what does the giant pole do? But that sounds quite creepy. What does it? Does it? Does it like take pictures of you if you're not wearing a mask? Well, here's the thing, right? For the people saying about all the stuff with lockdowns, I would rather they just made everybody wear a good mask. You have to wear a good mask if you're doing stuff, but otherwise everything carries on as normal. Not all these weird kind of, oh, you can do this, but not that. Like in the UK at the moment, like you can have your hair cut, but apparently women can't have their nails done or something. There's like lots of really weird shit like that. That one of my co-workers was telling me about. It's just all stuff like that doesn't make sense. You can't go bowling, but you can go to the cinema. Yeah, but here's the problem, Tony, is in a lot of shops, staff get attacked or like spat at by twats who don't want to wear masks. And they literally had a police person on the other day on LBC literally telling, shop owners that they probably shouldn't get really funny with people because some people will just stab them over stuff like that. Well, yeah, that's a good point, Uma. My point is, that again, a lot of this, it seems very strange where there's all these very weird mixed messages. But the problem is, Sam, that people will infect others, not just themselves. If this was just something where if people wanted to be very Orwellian, not Orwellian, I was going to say very Darwinist, sort of, about it, and it would only kill themselves, like a Darwin Award. That might be fine. The issue is we're getting the thing where people infect other people with it. No, I think thanks to it's just because they can't agree on anything and they don't have enough foresight to plan things properly, and they're just going to blame scientific advisors when one of the plans doesn't work very well. It's going to be, oh, it was the fault of this advisor. We were just following the science. What would the 9 government-sanctioned haircuts be, though, Sparrow? Yeah, I imagine Shed on Fire there will be people who think education is less important than them going to the pub. It's more right, isn't it? I only saw 2 people without masks, Arnold. That was lucky. Anyway, I'm going to go off now. But thank you, anyway. It's been a good stream. Yeah, I mean, Boris has been a complete cunt. Thanks to over lots of the stuff with this. I've lost pretty much all respect for him. With a lot of the ways he's just kind of been trying to scapegoat other people over what his government's done for stuff. Oh, we've got another one of the fucking COVIDiots come on. I'll read you his comment. I've blocked him, but just so they don't think I'm hiding what they're saying because it's true. So the COVIDiot I just blocked said, people in lockdown unable to go to empty hospitals have died more than the virus. You're not on Twitch tonight, all right, Mike? I'll watch a film or something later then, or I might have an early night. So, apparently there's these empty hospitals, even though there's not, and there's plenty of videos of these really packed ICUs in certain places. And apparently, I know he was very bad grammatically, but I think he was saying that not being able to go to an empty hospital is more deadly than the virus, even though I thought he was insinuating that the virus didn't exist and it was all made up. No, Covidiot was being used loads and loads early on, Tony Draper, with a lot of the people just, refusing to wash their hands in the early days and any of the stuff, that was being done. Yeah, but that's the only ones. When I hear the people spouting conspiracies, Errol, it's that all hospitals are empty. That, apparently you can't go to hospital full stop. Now, there is the bad thing where people with cancer and that aren't getting treated properly. Yeah, but hey, I'd love to know where are empty hospitals, so I can literally, if ever I need to go to A&E, turn up and be seen in 5 minutes. But yeah, anyway, I'll be off now. But thanks, everybody. I've had a good laugh, and some of the Covidiots have given me a laugh as well.